Habit 4, think win-win. What do we live for if it is not to make life less difficult for each other? I attended a tough business school that utilized the infamous forced curve grading policy. Every class consisted of 90 students, and in each class, 10% or 9 people would receive what was called a Category 3. A Category 3 was a nice way of saying you flunked. In other words, no matter how well or poorly the class performed as a whole, 9 people would flunk the class. And if you flunked too many classes, you were kicked out of school. The pressure was insane. The problem was everyone in the class was smart. I must have been an admissions error. So the competition became very intense, which influenced me, notice I didn't say made me, and my classmates to act in funny ways. Instead of aiming for good grades, as I did in college and high school, I found myself aiming not to be one of those 9 people that would flunk. Instead of playing to win, I was playing not to lose. It reminds me of the story I once heard about 2 friends being chased by a bear, when one turned to the other and said, "I just realized that I don't need to outrun the bear. I only need to outrun you." While sitting in class one day, I couldn't help but look around the room and try to count off 9 people who were dumber than me. When someone made a stupid comment, I caught myself thinking, "Phew, he's guaranteed to flunk. Only 8 more to go." Sometimes I found myself not wanting to share my best ideas with others during study groups because I was afraid they'd steal them and get all the credit instead of me. All these feelings were eating me up inside and making me feel real small, as if my heart were the size of a grape. The problem was I was thinking win-lose, and win-lose thinking will always fill your heart with negative feelings. Luckily, there's a more excellent way. It's called Think Win-Win, and it's Habit 4. Think win-win is an attitude toward life, a mental framework of mind that says I can win and so can you. It's not me or you, it's both of us. Think win-win is the foundation for getting along well with other people. It begins with the belief that we are all equal, that no one is inferior or superior to anyone else, and no one really needs to be. Now, you might say, "Come on, Sean, it's a cutthroat, competitive world out there. Everyone can't always win." I disagree. That's not how life really is. Life really isn't about competition or getting ahead of others or scoring in the 95th percentile. It may be that way in business, sports, and school, but those are merely institutions that we created. It's certainly not that way in relationships. And relationships, as we learned just a chapter ago, are the stuff life's made of. Think how silly it is to say, who's winning in your relationship, you or your friend? So let's explore this strange idea called think win-win. From my experience, the best way to do it is to see what win-win is not. Win-win is not win-lose, lose-win, or lose-lose. These are all common but poor attitudes toward life. Climb aboard, strap yourself in, and let's take a look at each one. Win-lose the totem pole. "Mom, there's a big game tonight and I need to take the car." "I'm sorry, Marina, but I need to get the groceries tonight. Your friends can pick you up." "But Mom, my friends always have to pick me up. It's embarrassing." "Listen, you've been complaining about not having any snacks in the house for a week. This is the only time I have to get groceries. I'm sorry." "You're not sorry. If you were sorry, you'd let me take the car. You're so unfair. You don't even care about me and having friends." "Look, fine, go ahead, take the car. But don't come whining to me when there's nothing to eat after school tomorrow." Marina won and Mom lost. This is called win-lose. But has Marina really won? Maybe she has this time, but how does Mom feel? And what's she going to do the next time she has a chance to get even with Marina? That's why in the long run it never pays to think win-lose. Win-lose is an attitude toward life that says the pie of success is only so big, and if you get a big piece, there's less for me. So I'm going to make sure I get my slice first, or that I get a bigger piece than you. Win-lose is competitive. I call it the totem pole syndrome. I don't care how good I am as long as I'm a notch higher than you on the totem pole. Relationships, friendships, and loyalty are all secondary to winning the game, being the best, and having it your way. Win-lose is full of pride. In the words of C.S. Lewis, pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more of it than the next man. It is the comparison that makes you proud, the pleasure of being above the rest. Don't feel too bad if you think win-lose at times, because we have been conditioned to do so from an early age. I think this is especially the case for those of us who've been raised in the USA where there are some amazing opportunities, but everyone's clawing to get at them. To illustrate my point, let's allow Trey, an ordinary boy, as he grows up. Trey's first experience with competition begins in the 3rd grade when he runs in the annual field day events and quickly discovers that ribbons are given only to 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place finishers. Trey doesn't win any races, but is excited to at least receive a ribbon for participation, until his best friend tells him that those ribbons don't really count because everyone gets one. When Trey enters middle school, his parents can't afford the cool jeans and pricey sneakers, so Trey wears older, less cool stuff. He can't help but notice what his wealthier friends are wearing and feels as if he isn't quite measuring up. In high school, Trey begins playing the violin and joins the orchestra. To his dismay, he learns that only one person can be first fiddle. Trey's disappointed when he's assigned second fiddle, but feels very good about the fact that he's not third. At home, Trey's been his mom's favorite child for several years, but now his younger brother, who happened to win a lot of trophies at Little League, is taking over as mom's golden child. Trey begins studying extra hard at school, for he figures that if he can get better grades than his brother, he might become mom's chosen one again. After 4 years of high school, Trey is ready for college. So he takes the SAT and scores in the 50th percentile, which means that he is smarter than half of his peers, but not as smart as the other half. Unfortunately, his score is not good enough to get into the college he wanted. The college Trey attends used forced curve grading. In his first chemistry class of 30 students, Trey learns that there are only 5 A's and 5 B's grades available. The rest get C's and D's. Trey works hard to avoid a C or D and luckily earns the last B grade available. And the story continues. After being raised in this kind of a world, is it any wonder then that Trey and the rest of us grow up seeing life as a competition and winning is everything? Is it any wonder that we often find ourselves looking around to see how we stack up on the totem pole? Fortunately, you and I are not victims. We have the strength to be proactive and rise above all this win-lose conditioning. A win-lose attitude wears many faces. The following are some of them. Using other people, emotionally or physically, for your own selfish purposes. Trying to get ahead at the expense of someone else. Gossiping or spreading rumors about someone else, as if putting someone else down builds you up. Always insisting on getting your way without thinking about other people's feelings. Getting jealous when something good happens to someone close to you. In the end, win-lose will usually backfire. You may end up on the top of the totem pole, but you'll be there alone and without friends. The trouble with a rat race, said actress Lily Tomlin, is that even if you win, you're still a rat. Lose-win the doormat. One teen wrote, I, for one, am a big peacemaker. I'd rather take the blame for just about anything than get into an argument. I constantly find myself saying that I'm dumb. Do you find yourself identifying with this statement? If so, you've fallen into the trap of lose-win. Lose-win looks humble on the surface, but it's just as dangerous as win-lose. It's the doormat syndrome. Lose-win says, have your way with me. Wipe your feet on me. Everyone else does. Lose-win is weak. It's easy to get stepped on. It's easy to be the nice guy or girl. It's easy to give in, all in the name of being a peacemaker. It's easy to let your parents have their way with you rather than try to share your feelings with them. With a lose-win attitude, you'll find yourself setting low expectations and compromising your standards again and again. Giving in to peer pressure is lose-win. Perhaps you don't want to ditch school, but the group wants you to, so you give in. What happened? Well, you lost and they won. That's called lose-win. If you adopt lose-win as your basic attitude toward life, then people will wipe their dirty feet on you, and that's a real bummer. You'll also be hiding your true feelings deep inside, and that's not healthy. There is a time to lose, of course. Lose-win is just fine if the issue isn't that important to you, like if you and your sister can't agree on which show to watch, or if your mom doesn't like the way you hold your fork. Let others win the little issues, and it will be a deposit into their RBA. Just be sure you take a stand on the important stuff. If you're trapped in an abusive relationship, you're deep into lose-win. Abuse is a never-ending cycle of hurt and reconciliation, hurt and reconciliation. It never gets better. There's no win in it for you whatsoever, and you deserve to get out. Don't think that somehow the abuse is your fault or that somehow you deserve to be abused. That's how a doormat thinks. No one deserves to be abused, ever. Please see the abuse websites in the back of the book. Lose-lose, downward spiral. Lose-lose says, if I'm going down, then you're going down with me, sucker. After all, misery loves company. War is a great example of lose-lose. Think about it. Whoever kills the most people wins the war. That doesn't sound like anyone ends up winning at all. Revenge is also lose-lose. By getting revenge, you may think you're winning, but you're really only hurting yourself. Lose-lose is usually what happens when two win-lose people get together. If you want to win at all costs and the other person wants to win at all costs, you're both going to end up losing. Lose-lose can also occur when someone becomes obsessed with another person in a negative way. This is especially likely to happen with those closest to us, like with Olivia, a high school junior. My friend Maggie and I had been best friends since 7th grade. The second we met, it was like, boom, this is my new BFF. Right away, she was so funny and great and opinionated. Deep down, I also felt smart and funny, but on the surface, I came off as shy and a little self-conscious. Maggie could see the strength in me beneath the shy appearance, though, and that's why I felt so good around her. The thing is, the older we got, like when we started freshman year, it started to weigh on me that I was still quiet and self-conscious while Maggie was still bright and well-liked. I started to feel like her sidekick, and I really resented her. I got jealous because she got a lot of attention for being the smartest in class, and because guys were into her, and girls thought she was really cool. I tried to act like she did, and wanted everyone to treat me the way they treated her. I didn't know how to be myself. I'd get snappy at her whenever she told me about something good going on in her life. Finally, one day I blew up at her over some little thing, but it turned into a huge fight, and she was like, "Why are you friends with me if you hate me?" I told her I didn't hate her. I was just jealous. And I felt like my own charm and my own wit and my own opinions were worthless compared to hers. And I felt bad about myself in comparison. As I heard myself saying all this, I knew how stupid it was, and also how unfair it was to Maggie. It wasn't her fault. She was just being herself. It was a rough patch in our friendship for a while, but she was able to forgive my jealousy, and I feel like I've totally gotten over the competition. I realized I didn't have to drag her down with me to make myself feel better. I'm just glad to be around such a cool person. And I didn't have to go along with whatever she did to be liked. I could accomplish that by just being myself. Luckily, Olivia and Maggie's friendship turned from a lose-lose back into a win-win. But it's not just friendship that can be at risk. If you're not careful, boyfriend-girlfriend relationships can sour into lose-lose too. You've seen it. Two good people begin dating, and things go well at first. It's win-win. But gradually they become emotionally glued and codependent. They begin to get possessive and jealous. They constantly need to be together, to touch, to feel secure, as if they own the other person. Eventually, this dependency brings out the worst in both of them. They begin to fight and get back at each other, resulting in a downward spiral of lose-lose. It's not fun for anyone.